Great to have you on Richard Mwanja Exclusive, your only point of call on matters political and governance analysis. We have so much lined up for you on today's edition, but first things first, allow me bring to your screens the gentleman who's going to help me unpack today's subject, Professor Herman Manyora, the expert from Vihiga County. Prof, great to see you.
Yes.
You're doing well?
Perfect.
All right, Prof, we are seeing so much happen in our political landscape, top of which is this high endorsement of Kithure Kindiki by his boss, President William Ruto. President Ruto talks about Kindiki being a calm, supportive, and very composed deputy president, and he has so much hope in him. But then again, there are those who believe that this is a sales pitch, not really the reality. What do you make of that high recommendation from Ruto about Kindiki?
It's a reality. Why not? Leaders don't like deputies who are strong. They like weaker men to deputize them. Yeah. So Ruto is right with Kindiki. Kindiki is weaker than Ruto, much weaker than Ruto, and therefore an ideal deputy. Gachagua was a competitor, as tough as Ruto. That rarely works. Yeah.
You've always talked about the need for us to have a tag team which can deliver for Kenyans, a tag team of really powerful individuals, individuals who have higher even thinking capacity, intelligence. Why do you think that's far-fetched for us as Kenya when it comes to the history of Kenyan politics?
I don't think it has to be the deputy. You see, I've maintained this for a long time. A deputy is a person without a voice. The moment the deputy finds his voice, that marriage is kaput. Yeah. A deputy governor, a deputy president, a vice president is like a spare tire in the boot of a car. You only remove it when you have a puncture. Yeah.
It makes sense then, Prof.
It is written and unwritten. If you are the prince and the queen or the king is there, you are not there until that vacancy occurs.
So in the fullness of time, what usually awaits deputy presidents who subscribe to the yes men philosophy?
Those are the people who survive. And sometimes they can take over. And that shows why decay is always certain in institutions. Let me demonstrate this using a very simple example.
Sure.
You are a principal of a school and you have a choice in who becomes your deputy. You will choose a weaker deputy. But you and the deputy in some of these big schools will look for a senior teacher, the one they call senior teacher. You make one teacher a senior teacher. Certainly, the senior teacher will be weaker than the principal and weaker than the deputy. In time, the deputy will succeed the principal because the principal has been transferred or has retired.
Yeah.
So the weaker man has now become the top man. He now elevates the senior teacher the way it used to work.
Yeah.
The senior teacher who was weaker than the deputy is now the deputy. Then they look, between the two of them now look for a senior teacher who now is weaker than both of them. By the time you get 15, 20 years, who is heading the school? Weaker. That's why our schools are all mismanaged, are run badly, are run down. The resources of the schools are plundered, they are not used well. The same applies to universities. In the process of promotion, the system promotes those who are weaker than the others above them. So the vice chancellor, deputy vice chancellor, we used to have principals. You could not become a principal of a college in UON if you are a man of your voice.
Radical.
You had to be the VC's yes boy or yes girl. So you became principal. And the principal in turn had a hand in who becomes a dean. Again, a man who can't question or a woman who can't question. So these are the people who come up in the system. And finally, you see our universities are all insolvent.
That's a conversation on business glide.
They are all dead. They are all dead. Even the head of public science said, this can't go on. And people are either they are pretending or they don't know how things work. The weak have been taking over. Finally, it is the weakest of the weak who are in charge of institutions. And same in politics. You've seen how countries go down over years. How kingdoms get ravaged and decay because of the same. In kingdoms where the king had a say in who succeeded them. No, the British, I think, were among the first to come up with a constitutional monarch, I think. I'm not very sure. So it was quite well defined who can succeed the king or the queen. But in places where the king and the queen, sometimes quite the queen, had a say in who succeeded to the throne, the weaker ones will always be. It's in human nature, we don't like challenge. So Ruto is doing the right thing. He's just being not the right thing, the normal thing.
Rightly put, Prof.
Yes.
So if you are gonna deep dive into this high endorsement of Kindiki from his boss, President Ruto, would you say that it's an attempt to regain Ruto's grip on Mount Kenya bloc by highly speaking of their boy? And will it work?
I think Ruto is not a foolish person. Ruto knows Mount Kenya is gone.
For good?
He knows. Anapiga hesabu yake bila Mount Kenya.
So speaking positive of Kindiki reduces his risk of getting bigger resistance from Mount Kenya?
Not just that, but you see, he's trying to justify why he got rid of Gachagua.
And to this end, Prof, we are now talking about Gachagua going bare knuckles on Kithure Kindiki. And seemingly, we get into this level of high-octane politics whereby even Mount Kenya itself, we are seeing now major splits coming to the fore, those supporting Kindiki and Rigathi Gachagua. What do you think is the future of Mount Kenya in the first place?
There's no such a split on the mountain. Let us not misinform our viewers.
Really?
There's no such a split with Gachagua running away with something and Kindiki.
Some subscribing to the school of thought that Kindiki is in, and
Kindiki
some to
and Gachagua in the same sentence.
They're in the same sentence?
How? Kindiki is a good man, but he's not in competition with there's no competition between Kindiki and Gachagua. Gachagua has run away with everything.
So the call for each other to tone down on the attack on the other is just normal politics?
Who is attacking the other?
Don't threaten us, says Kindiki.
Kindiki he was just joking. He knows he's not serious.
So, Prof, let's now face the reality of 2027 politics. And if anyone is to clinch the presidential seat, would you say they have a chance of doing that without the Mount Kenya bloc on their hand?
It's possible. Kenya is beyond Mount Kenya. There may be many, but they are not Kenya. By the way, for your information, Mount Kenya is, about the whole of it is under 30% of the population. Maybe 20, I don't know, about 25, 26%. I'm not quite sure, but way below 30%. So you have a whole 70% waiting for you.
What antic now can Ruto deploy so that he consolidates the votes from every other region besides Mount Kenya?
I have no idea. And even if I had, I wouldn't want to share with him for free.
You're under consultants?
But I know what he's trying to do. If you ask him what he's trying to do, I know.
Sure, tell me.
He thinks Raila will give him Luo Nyanza. He's counting on the cost.
Through Joho?
No, I think Joho and the rest, Mvuri and the rest, and he has succeeded there. He has the entire northeastern Kenya, all of it. He's hoping to western Kenya. I suspect by making Mudavadi running mate. He could even surprise you and make Papa Roma
running mate.
Yes. But hallelujah. Actually, Papa Roma will give Ruto more votes than Mudavadi by far.
And not the Tawe movement can flatten his cast.
But the Tawe movement makes it difficult for Ruto. Again, the Tawe movement will depend. It will depend on where are the Luya in the matrix of opposition politics. Just simply put, Will Natembeya be running for president? Or Eugene for that matter? Will they be the flag bearer for the opposition? If the answer is yes, then all the lawyers will give them their votes. They will spare none, the word none, zero, for any other candidate, including Ruto. If Natembeya or Eugene are deputizing the most formidable opposition candidate at that time, Ruto may not get anything beyond 20% with Raila's assistance. So he's calculating. Yeah.
Finally, Prof, as a seasoned political analyst, do you foresee a situation in the near future before 2027 elections whereby the audience section that is in government is going to walk out of government and strategize for the 2027 elections? Do you see Raila Odinga decamping at the 11th hour?
It's possible because, first of all, we don't know the argument between Raila and Ruto. So we can only guess from outside. If it's just a normal agreement, they can walk out. If there's nothing really binding. And what would make them walk out? If Ruto does not fulfill his part of the bargain.
10-point agenda.
We were made to believe that the ODM was going to get half the government. I've not seen even a quarter. Have you seen a quarter?
Just a few experts.
And time is running out. We were told this PS, there's going to be a big reshuffle. With the ODM getting, I was told, almost 18.
Yeah.
I saw 4 or 5.
People already stepping on charans.
Yeah, out of 22 cabinet slots, Raila hardly has, I think he has only 5. 5 out of 22 doesn't appear to me to be 50%. Does it?
It doesn't.
It's hardly a quarter. A quarter of 20 is 5. So he has 5, and it's not out of 20, out of 22. So he has less than a quarter of the cabinet. So those are the sort of things that may break this relationship. Yeah.
So going to the future, Prof, you've always talked about President Ruto being such an independent thinker and a master when it comes to Kenya's political chessboard. Do you think he's already cushioning himself for such breakaways that probably could arise from Raila Odinga?
Only a fool. Only a fool would go into this thing and work in this thing blindly. And Ruto is not your fool. Not
Trust has no place in politics?
How can you trust Raila? Even Raila himself can't trust Ruto.
Glad you brought that up.
They go to bed lakini kila mtu analala na kisu. Ruto ameshika kisu yake bandei, Raila yako na yake na wamelala. Kitanda moja.
But you can trust Mudavadi and Papa Roma.
Those ones you can trust.
You argued the other day, bora how ameshiba.
These ones I have no problem. Those ones you can trust them. Just as you can trust Kindiki. You could not trust Gachagua. I don't blame Ruto. I don't know why we are blaming Ruto for removing Gachagua. You can't. You
can't trust a
You always sleep with one eye, only one eye. You can't close both eyes if Gachagua is your deputy. And if you are in a partnership with Raila, your eyes, you can't sleep. Leave alone closing one eye. You can't close both. Mpaka asubuhi akishaondoka, akienda kwa bafu nini ndio unafunga macho kidogo nala. Then you take a siesta during the day. You can't sleep. And Raila can't trust Ruto. Because there are still suspicions about Uhuru not being completely for Raila's presidency. Although Raila himself, I have talked to Raila, let me tell you. To be fair to Raila, he had 100% confidence in Uhuru.
But the question still lingers.
I've seen people try to bring that nonsense of Uhuru Alituza. You can see Raila's body language, his reaction. It will tell you that he had complete confidence in Uhuru. But still, if he's a normal human being, something must be lingering in his mind.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't show, but it must be there. So, how much more so with Ruto? So this thing can break.
There you have it from Professor Herman Manyora. That has been our conversation today, discussing a raft of issues in the world of Kenya's politics and governance. And until you get to do this again, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Up next on your screen are editions by Evans Okenyi, Jadiel Kabiro, and Prof himself.